exactly how it's going to look when we release it, and all the the things like the activity log, bits and bobs can change. But yeah, take it as this is a demonstration of the concept of the mechanics and how all that's going to work and how you move around the board and ownership of the plots and things. But all will become clear as we start sharing it, I guess. And Lendy, I don't know if you're ready, mate. I think Lendy's doing the sharing process, and this is going to be recorded, I think, as well. Lendy, am I right in saying?
Yep, I just record, so I caught half of what you did before, but
Ah, cool. There we go. Excellent. Lado, I'm just going to mute you, mate. Um,
Yeah, I'm good.
but feel free. Any questions? Nice one. Cheers. Any questions? If anyone wants to sort of, unmute themselves to ask any questions, or we've obviously got the actual chat messages as well. So yeah, feel free. If more than happy to answer any questions that we can. So all good. Farmer, just saying, obviously you're in as well, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, all good, all good. Yeah, I was just adding to basically what Wolf has said. I mean, we had like a little bit of a brief that we gave to somebody this morning, which was just in terms of what our thought process is behind the game. And apologies if you've heard it before, um, but obviously, much like a few of the other people in here, we've been around Web3 gaming for a while, and we're one of the ones that have always said, well, I wish that a project would do this, that, and the other. So that's why we kind of started the process ourselves to kind of put our thinking together for it. And you'll see that we've tried two things mainly with this. Number one, to try and make it as few gates as possible to get in to play the game, which is why we've gone without the NFT approach, which has ended up costing us a small fortune because there's no way of kind of fundraising behind the NFTs. But what we hope is when the game's live, it's just one extra gate that people don't have to go through in terms of buying an NFT. And then the second bit is to kind of have that addictive nature of the game, and a game that everybody knows, and a game that everybody has potentially played. So whilst we're not saying it is snakes and ladders, but it's similar to that snakes and ladders concept, mixed in with a bit of Monopoly there as well, but just to add that community feel. And that's what we're hoping will come across now once Lendy goes live with his screen, so you can see what our thinking is and what the gameplay is like behind it.
yeah, just making sure I don't leak my seed phrase here. Hold on. No, I'm just kidding. So this is what the home screen will look like. I just copy pasted the chat. Obviously, to sign up on an account. We're not going to go through that. It's not really like a walkthrough on the game.
So this will be different as well. This is purely on the testing sort of side. We're hoping it'll obviously there's going to be wallet integration. It would be a Web3 game if there wasn't. But like at the moment in our testing environment, it's purely an offline version. So it is just email address, password. But the login process will be different on come launch.
And then I'm gonna just take this away so I can log in real quick. But if you have any questions, as they said, while we go through, just drop them in the chat.
Frustrating bit with this as well is the music and the sounds are one of my favourite things personally with this, which won't come across in the demo. But here we go.
We'll probably turn the music off after a bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So something a little calm and soothing.
See different colours on there. So this is already played game. So it's not fresh. This is Lendy's game. As he's been playing it, so anything that's in red, the reason it's red is because he owns a plot on there. But we'll show you what that means as we go along. Do we talk through the board just from left to right? Is that probably the easiest way of doing it?
Yeah. So
go on.
Go on, you go, mate. It's all right.
No, to be fair, you crack on, mate. I was going to start off with the.
Yeah. So I mean, so I will start top left and work our way down. So obviously your currency is effectively how much plowed you'll have in the actually deposited into the game. Position is literally just the start of the plot number you're on. And then we'll come back to the actual plowed thing, but this is the sort of the plowed meter we're calling it. So originally this was a dice. It was purely dice based. However, one of the big things we're really mindful and cognizant of is making sure we stay on the right side of compliance and potential rules around gambling and things like that. We wanted to make sure that everything we do is kind of totally compliant, and we don't need to abide by gaming licenses and things like that they just don't apply. So having sort of done some research into the legalities of using a dice, it was a grey area. Let's say we may have fallen foul, we may not, but we were like, okay, we don't want to take that risk. We just don't want to take that risk. So when it moves from a chance-based game to a skill-based game, it effectively takes that risk out of play, which is why we've gone with the plowed meter rather than the dice that was originally planned. But
it's a sticky area, because whilst we were getting advice from people in the Web 2 space saying that dice were absolutely fine, there were and are some really good people within the Web 3 space, which we haven't asked if we can use their names within this, so I'm not going to shout names out, but we've talked to people within the Web 3 space who are saying definitely not. It will it will fall foul of the compliance issue. So putting everything in a pot together just to be on the safe side, we thought we'll just go down the route of not having the dice. And in all fairness, playing the game, I kind of prefer it this way personally. I quite like it. So I say to those people, and I suppose they'll know who they are, who offered us advice. Thank you for that. We won't mention any names, but that's why we have that, and you will see that in the next couple of minutes anyway, of what that is and what we're talking about. But in short, rather than rolling a dice, you press the button that says plow, and which might change as time goes on. And then that tractor, that tiny tractor that you can see, will go up and down the meter there. And depending on where you then click stop, which is what the button will turn into, from plow to stop, will depend on how many moves you move forwards on the board. So if you're quick, you'll get what you wanted. There you go. There's an 5, so then you'll move on 5. There you go. That's an example there straight away, which we'll come on to now. We might as well do. So what Lendy's effectively done there is click plow, stopped on 5, and it's moved forward. Now Lendy doesn't own. I'm just double checking what I'm moving. So we've landed on a plot that Lenny does not own, so he can choose there to buy it or not buy it effectively. Now, no one else owns that plot, because obviously this game's offline, and as time goes on and we go live, there are people who own that plot, so you'd have to pay rent when he lands on it. But there, as we look at that as a plot, no one owns it, and he can then go off and buy it. If other people did own it, then it's not a problem. He'd still have to pay rent on that plot. He'd also have the option to buy a share if he wanted a share. And depending on how many shares are out there, will depend on the price of that plot, we say.
The price goes up each time someone buys it. It gets more expensive for the next person. So if I were to land on, in fact, what am I on now? So Lendy, how much did you pay for that one? You paid slightly less than that, obviously, didn't you? So if I would, that's the price it's now gone up to as a result of Lendy purchasing it. So it's going to be more expensive if I were to land on it now for me to buy it, and then if I was to land on it and the two of us own shares in it, it's going to be more expensive for Farmer. But then also it comes down to, if one of us was to sell the price of the plot, that reduces the cost to buy it. And the rent is set at there you go, drop the price. So the rent is set at 3.4% of the thingy at the moment. So the price of the plot, the rent is 3.4% of that. And when that rent, when someone lands on the plot, the rent gets distributed pro rata to the shareholders of the plot. So if you're one of those shareholders, you'll receive a cut. And we can probably move over back to where we we're talking about some of the own plots on the left hand side here. You can see on the left hand side where you've got fertilizer level. So your share of how much rent you receive is directly correlated to your fertilizer level. So across the plots, the way it's calculated is let's say there's 3 shareholders. So there is let's say Lendy owns one, I own one, Farmer owns one. Let's say Lendy's fertilizer is at 100, mine's at 50, and Farmer's is at 50. So based on those, 50%. So Lendy owns 50% of the total fertilizer plot. So the total fertilizer value. So he owns 100, I own 50, Farmer owns 50. So the total fertilizer value across everyone who owns a share of that plot is 200, but Lendy owns 100 of it. So 50% of any rent that's collected will go to Lendy, with 25% going to myself and 25% going to Farmer, minus like a 5% tax that is taken. So as a player, you want to top up your fertilizer, you want to keep your fertilizer topped. Now it's capped, I think, at the moment. I think this is something we can edit, but it's capped at the moment at 250. So you want to keep your fertilizer as high as possible, and you do that by rolling. So we will see here if when Lendy presses stop here. Now there's a 50% chance each time you roll that your fertilizer will go up.
Looks like you've caught the eye of it now.
Yeah.
Enjoy your flight.
Increased by 7, I think that says, doesn't it, Lendy? So your fertilizer, when you get an increase in fertilizer, it can go up by anywhere between, I think, I have to double check the numbers, but I think it's between 1 and 25. That your fertilizer will go up randomly between 1 and 25 when you get that 50%, hit that 50% chance of receiving fertilizer. So you can boost your fertilizer all the way up to 250 it's set up at the moment. That number's not final. We may tweak that. And effectively, it's PvP in that sense, because if everybody's up at 250, then everyone's going to get an equal share. But if you have got a lot less fertilizer than anyone else, your cut of the pie, your slice of the pie is going to be a lot less. So everybody's fertilizer at, I think it's set at midnight UTC, every night, everybody's fertilizer drops across the board. So you'll need to log on the next day and roll just to get that fertilizer topped back up to a level that you're happy with, so you get your nice share of the pie as people land on those plots. And the amount that your fertilizer drops is dependent on the amount of shares you hold. So we want to create a game where it rewards people who hold a lot of plots, but equally, there needs to be a mechanic to stop whales just absolutely dominating and giving the smaller players a bit more of a chance as well. So the more plots you own, the greater your fertilizer will drop each night, because ultimately you are then going to be, if you own like that a share in the whole board, for example, every time that someone rolls effectively, you're going to be receiving rent. So your fertilizer needs to kind of drop a little bit more than other people's. So with someone who's got one plot, their fertilizer isn't going to drop a huge amount because there's going to be a lot less people landing on it. So it's trying to create an even playing field where it is beneficial to hold more plots, but equally it doesn't. We want to kind of look after the people who only want to have 1 or 2 plots as well. So it's trying to finding that balance between whales and smaller players and keeping it fair for everybody. Anything you want to add there, guys, at the moment?
No. You'll have seen there that Lendy rolled again. It was probably one of the basic things, and you may have already guessed it as well. But in terms of the board itself, which would bring us on quite nicely into the next bit, you saw that he effectively landed on an L. So you'll see 3 characters on the board there. You'll see the L that effectively came up, and the L will mean you move forward. So you'll it's the equivalent of a ladder. So you'll move forward, going forwards, and a wolf will basically do the opposite. So you go backwards. So the three characters are the L to help you go forwards, the wolf where you go backwards, and then you got you as the character as well, the farmer that you've just seen moving across. So those are the three characters effectively on the board as you go across. You might think to yourself, well, what happens when you get to the end? You just turn around and go back to the beginning again. So there's different, and a lot of this can change, but there's different prices for different plots as you go across the board on there in terms of their value and the potential rent that could come back from there. You don't have to buy at all as you go across. So if you haven't got enough Plowed in there, and or there's a particular plot that you're looking for that you're hoping to buy, or an area that you want to buy in, then you don't have to buy whatsoever. You can just roll until you get to the area that you want, and then crack on and you can buy. But that's the board in its nutshell, without it being overly complicated. I fully appreciate we've gone for 15 minutes, and there's a lot that we've talked about on the left-hand side of the board. But we wanted to talk to you in terms of the compliance, so you understand why the tractor is effectively there and what the fertiliser side of things mean. Once that bit is understood, the rest of this screen is quite easy to understand, because then the next bit, and I'm hoping I'm not jumping into anyone else's speech here, but the next bit is literally your activity. So if you are hopefully addicted and you're playing and you're cracking on through it, you can look at the activity board and just remind yourself in terms of what has happened in your game. And likewise, once you log back in again, it'll help you do that as well in terms of what you've lost fertilizer wise and what's happened within the game whilst you've not been there.
So if I were to now land on one of Lendy's plots, so I mean, where am I on the board? 5. So if I try and roll a 1, 2, 3, when Lendy, I missed. We've tweaked the speed. We made it a bit faster, the tractor, and it's made it harder to hit the numbers. We can totally sort of. I did change it earlier, and it was like mental. It was impossible to hit anything. But let me try again.
You wanna adjust it and put nitrous back into the tractor?
Yeah, what just make it crazy for a demo.
You should get
I'll
into
do that now.
in terms of that there, but
so I've just landed on one of Lendy's plots. You own plot 9, don't you? Yeah. So when Lendy now refreshes, he will get a notification that that someone's landed on one of his plots, and because he is at the moment the only shareholder, so his fertilizer kind of is irrelevant here as long as he's not on 0. So if he was on 0, he wouldn't receive anything. But because there were no other shareholders in plot 9. Lendy, when he refreshes the game now, will have a notification waiting in his activity log to say that he received rent for me landing on plot 9. So, when you wake up, log in the morning, hopefully you'll log in to see, but 1, your fertilizer's dropped, but 2, all the people who've landed on your plots overnight, and you'll have received the rent from them landing on your shares overnight. So there you go. So
and that adds the community aspect of it as well, just to kind of see that within there, to see who you've managed to take some Plowed off, or who you've ended up giving Plowed to, which is always nice in there to effectively have.
So I just noticed the chat. So yeah, it is. We are looking at turning it into a live action. Most of it is at the moment, like the currency updates and things, automatically all through that. There's just parts of the activity log that we will look to. We do need to get live, but at the moment, it's that aspect isn't live, but it absolutely is something we want to get live. Like the same, 90% of it. The game does update live at the moment. There's just a few bits and bobs that we need to add in to get update live. I'm just going to have a bit of a play with the. Let me have a change some of the code here. So when you refresh now, it should be the tractor should have a nitro booster. You might need to. There we go. There's an owl example. So just whilst we're on that, the owl example, and the wolf as well. It's a random amount that it moves you back and forward, so you don't know exactly how much it's going to move you back and forward each time. I think it's between 5 and 15 spaces that it can move you back and forward when you do land on a wolf or an owl. Sorry, I missed your question there. I did see one come in. Are you concerned about people being able to run a script to auto-click the play button when it hits the exact spot someone wants to roll? I like that it's random. Yeah, like we say, we needed. I think we started off with the random with the dice thing, but from a compliance point of view, we couldn't do that. I'd say we couldn't do that. At the end of the day, it's totally untested. There's no case law or anything. Sorry, the owl. Sorry, I like the owl is random. Yeah, I meant the owl. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so the owl and the wolves are random. It's between that. I think. Again, I'll double check the numbers, but I think it's between 5 and 15. Yeah, 5 and 15 that the owls move you back and forward. I mean, in terms of the actual Plowed meter itself, like we can tweak it like the speeds here. I mean, it should now a bit faster to make it a hell of a lot. I mean, harder to actually hit what you want, and it's so we can make it a lot harder. It was turned down quite low for our testing because obviously as we're sort of playing it, we want it to kind of be. We want to know, we want to land on this because we've got certain testing sort of things we want to go through, landing on each plot and making sure everything works. So it was turned down very low for testing. But I mean, I haven't tried this, but let's see how fast it goes. Let's just hope it doesn't break the game. Let's just try that. I've just turned it to very, very low level. Sorry, Lindy, making you turn your stream on and off.
That's all right.
HD, we'll show you that now, mate. We'll lend you when he just refreshes his stream. We'll let him get through the board and show you what happens with that.
So just while he's refreshing the stream and just before you click it, Lendy, everything that we're saying here in terms of the
That's crazy.
So there's elements to this where, because obviously we're going to release the game for testing with various people to try and have a look at it. So it might come to the point where when it comes to testing that those numbers that we've given don't make sense, or we need to adapt elements of it there. So before the game is released, we'll have like a full blown exactly, we can answer the questions properly in terms of what that will be. And also what we will do, which we said just before the call, is we'll do a live demo of starting up the game yourself and just cracking on and playing the game. But that's the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, HD, just to show you this, I have just refreshed it as well. When you do refresh it again, Lindy, it'll be back to a little bit more manageable now. But when you get through the board, start again. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's playing on the same board there. Coin.
Yeah, everyone plays on the same board. It's totally asynchronous in that sense.
You're not going to be able to see.
Everyone's on the same board.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to see where the other players are. That would just be way too much data and info. We're hoping to get it to 1,000 players. I think that would be super sick. But yeah, everyone's playing on the same board.
Yeah, so HD, so there's no limit to the amount of shares that a plot can be broken down into. That's totally unlimited. So in theory, there could be 1,000 shareholders on a single plot. That isn't capped at all. The only thing that caps that is the total supply of Plowed. And you can own multiple shares in the same plot. I don't know if Lendy, if you can try and land on a plot you already own, one of those next 4. You can.
Yeah, I can just.
You've already got one.
Yeah, I can just show here. I'm 2 shares of plot, and if I click on it, there are 3 in total. So 3 out and about, and I own 2 of them.
Yeah. So in effect with that, so Lendy's fertilizer on that is what 204 at the moment. So I'm not sure. Do I own the other one? I'll probably own the other one. Yeah, I own the other one. So 250. So I mean, just do some napkin math. We've got 250, 204, and 204. So what was yours? Sorry, 204. So 408 divided by 58. So Lendy owns 62% of the fertilizer on that plot. So any rent that's received, Lendy's going to get 62%, and I'm going to get the remaining 38%. That's minus the 5% tax. But yeah, so you can own as many shares in a plot as you want to.
And you can sell them when you want to.
Yeah.
As well. It's not a sit and wait for someone else to effectively pick them up.
Yeah, you can only purchase a share you're on. I currently don't have enough money, so this is a good example. I don't have enough to buy this share, so I can't. But you can sell any share you own at any point. Right? And this, I don't know if this went live yet. This shouldn't let me roll because I don't have the minimum amount to pay. Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah,
so one
you
thing,
do, yeah.
one thing we implemented is if you don't have enough plowed in game to pay the highest rent on the board, will change as people purchase lots. The game will let you roll.
Yeah. So,
So
just to
HD.
answer a few of the questions, HD. So I own 1/200th of a plot, but nobody receives because I own a share. No, so everyone who, as long as you have at least some fertilizer, you will receive a share of the rent. So everybody who's a shareholder, and like you say, you can own multiple shares. You will, yeah, all own you will all get a slice of that rent pie that's coming in, proportionate to your fertilizer level compared to the total fertilizer level across the board. Yeah, so yeah, you will. Yeah, I mean, all this will all be in the Git book. We're like, that isn't out yet, but all this will be totally explained. Yeah, all that will be totally explained when it is out. All the exactly and mechanics of how everything works will all be written down, and that'll be released. We'll release that before the game goes live, so everyone's got a chance to brush up on exactly how everything works before the game goes live, so you can start knowing exactly soon to a TM. Yeah, so you can all get an idea of how to play the game and start strategizing really before the start. But yeah, exactly as well with from Cointel, exactly that. So if you buy at the current price, but you sell at the current price as well, and that can work for you or against you. If you're the first person to buy a plot, then everybody else who's buying it after you is buying it at a more expensive price than you. So that's another element of the strategy of getting in early on a plot and being able to then potentially look to sell it on at a profit. You didn't you? You won one of the giveaways, so you're going to be like that'll be allocated to you when when the game goes live. Like pretty much as soon as the game goes live, that's going to be we'll make sure that's allocated to you and waiting. So the ones that are won, the only thing to be mindful of, the ones that are won are soulbound. So I don't know if you've got any soulbound on here, Lindy, you're aware of.
We're running without them.
We clear all those. So
Yeah, we clear.
there's two lots. There's two types of plots. There's soulbound and normal. So a normal plot is you buy it, sell it as normal. But a soulbound plot is allocate. We allocate it on the back end, and it acts exactly the same as a normal plot in that it keeps fertilizer. You earn rent from people landing on it, but you can't sell it. You can't sell it. Sell it. So you can only sell shares that you buy But yeah, so the soulbound plots are unsellable, but you'll earn rent on them forever, in effect.
Yeah, I wanted to
but
answer
yeah.
something somebody said. The get book, it'll be super clear. As you can see, the game is not that complex. The complexity comes in when it comes to fertilizer. I want it to be clear, how you what you'll learn. And then I think what you just mentioned point till if what it was. This is why early access is going to be super limited. We're purging people who are not even holding Plowed, because early access, whether we make 24 hours or 48 hours before the game goes live to the public, you'll be in here rolling, buying plots for the cheap. The plots will actually be the first one to buy it.
And we've seen time and time again with these with Web3 gaming. They say NFA and do your own research. Obviously, it always applies, but historically, the earlier you are, the people generally enjoy more success, shall we say? And so and we want to reward those people who who've been here from the start, who've believed in us, and have been here for the journey. And so we want to give those people the chance to get in before the general public. Of course, we want the general public to play. We want to get as many people playing as possible, but we also want to reward those people who've been early and been with us from the start. So that's our sort of our plan.
Have we got any more? Because I think we're conscious of trying to keep this short so that people can at least jump in and have a view of it itself. So, are there any more questions? I'm recording my screen, so I can't.
The treasured dad typing. Back. Just check the other questions that we've missed. If there is any other
Treasure. What's going on, man? Wait, why frustrated? Load need to be there.
Let's see, what was the question?
He said plots lottery for 10 million folks. I said, yeah, every holder has their own.
There's one going at the moment, isn't there? There's
Basically, the list.
10 million for a legendary at the moment going on.
Yeah, and you handle of them, right? So common is for the 1 mil, the is for 5 mil, and the legendary for 10. You're holding 10 mil, you can enter it.
Yeah, that's it. And as well, we always the giveaways do have multipliers on as well, which always there's a little extra sort of boosts the more you hold. What about 15 and 20 million holders? Yeah, I mean, there's no particular role or extra boost for 15 and 20 million holders now. Is it it's going to be a race to get the most Plowed to give yourself the most chances? But yeah, but no, there is a definitely we want to reward the holders, like we say, the bigger holders and that. So yeah, the more you hold, the more chance you get of winning these giveaways. But
yeah,
we'll look to do more. We'll look to keep these running, these soulbound giveaways. We've got to be obviously mindful in terms of the reason why they're soulbound is ultimately, this is a very different to a lot of the games that people are probably used to with Web3. That there's faucets, and the issue with faucet model games is they're great, but they're ultimately the tokens eventually dry up. But this is a totally different model in that it's a player-to-player model with no particular game faucet, which we hope makes it a lot more sustainable in the long run. But yeah, so we have to be obviously with these giveaways. The reason that we're doing them soulbound is that effectively, if we didn't do them soulbound, people could just then sell those plots, sell the Plowed and then potentially sell the Plowed onto the market, which is obviously we're just mindful that we want to keep the value of Plowed up as much as we can.
Yeah, we don't want to
Appreciate
make
it,
it so it's currently 1.3 Solana will get you that 10 million holder roll. If we start doing 15 and 20 million holder rolls, we don't want to make it look like we're trying to push people to buy it, right? We want people to buy it to play at the level they want to play at, and not look like we're trying to make people spend $500 just for a roll.
Yeah. And one of the things that we aren't certain on yet, because until we know the market cap value of Plowed prior to launch, is we can't make a decision on it yet. Is that how much all the figures in here at the moment are placeholders? So don't take any of this as read as this is the amount of Plowed you'll need on any of these plots. So until we know what the market cap of Plowed ultimately is closer to the time, then we'll sort of make a decision on what the sort of dollar value and subsequent Plowed value of the plots is. We don't want to make it prohibitive and make it too high. We'd rather have lots of players and let the economy do its thing by the natural increase. I think it's 2% per plot. I think I'm right in saying is the increase per plot, and decrease when there's a sale. So we'd rather have lots of people playing. So we don't want to make it prohibitive price wise, but equally we don't want to make it super low that people feel like really earning anything here. So it's just finding that balance, but that'll be something that's released close to the time when we've got an idea of where Plowed is as a token. Anything else, guys, or any other questions? I mean, the only thing we haven't covered on there yet, which when Lendy's finished this roll, we'll show you very briefly. This is subject to change, but the leaderboard. So the leaderboard at the moment is just a placeholder. This at the moment is based on like actual sort of the net worth, but that isn't what it's going to be when the game goes live. This is just a placeholder at the moment. So we're looking at the leaderboard. Your place on the leaderboard. The concept that we've got at the moment is that each roll you do will effectively move you up the leaderboard. So the more you roll, the higher you will go up the leaderboard. And then any funds that we collect prior to launch will go into the pot for the leaderboard, and that will be paid out pro rata based on your position on the leaderboard at the end of the season, and that will be paid out in Sol as well. That won't be paid out in Plowed, or we had the vote in the server a little while back. So whatever is in the leaderboard pot at the end of the season, your position on the leaderboard, you'll be paid out in Sol pro rata based on that. But yeah, that's still to be, the actual leaderboard thing still to be implemented at the moment. You land in a plot, but others still too. Certainly you have to pay rent. Yeah, pay the full rent. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything at the moment covered.
Yeah.
So the way, like I say, at the moment this is the off-chain version. The way it'll work in terms of actually from a depositing point of view, it'll just be similar to what you expect to pretty much every other Web3 game out there. You'll have the option to deposit Plowed and withdraw Plowed. And that'll just, but we're not looking at, there may be some initial sort of security safeguards in place initially, but we're not looking to lock people in at all. We want to make this game as liquid as possible. People can join when they want, they can get out when they want. And that was like Farmer mentioned earlier. That was one of the main things to why we didn't go with NFTs. Is people are stuck with the liquid NFTs that they can't sell, whereas with a token, there's always a liquidity pool to sell into if you want to exit. And we want to give people that choice and that freedom. If they want to play, great. If they want to leave, then cool. Thanks for playing, and been nice having you. Yeah, we're not about locking people in.
I'm trying to run out of money
yeah.
so that I can show the alert that says you don't have enough money.
Yeah. Get land on
But-
those legendaries. It won't take you long.
Well, with the interest in the tractor, it's hard to get the.
Yeah.
I keep landing some 3 wolves back to back.
There you go. Right. So you should be now. You should be in a position where you can't roll. The button's now greyed out, is it? Well, green, different shade of greened out anyway. And I think if you click on a plot now, I think that should pop up your notification, possibly.
Yeah, once
now
it.
you try and. There you go.
But
That's just that mechanic of stopping if you haven't got enough plowed to able to pay the rent, just to stop people rolling at that point.
If there are any questions afterwards, by all means, just do shout up. But I think the if not, we can wrap it up so it's they're ready for anyone to listen to.
Yeah. Thanks
Brilliant.
everybody for stopping by.
Thank you.
We're usually always around.
Appreciate
Just tag us. Leave your comments, leave your posts, whatever you guys want.
Any feedback as well, we appreciate. If there's anything you think that maybe this is a good idea, then by all means, either drop it in chat or open a ticket. We're really open to ideas, and if it's something that we can implement, it's feasible.